The heaviest silence in the world isn't the one when you are completely alone in an empty room. It is the cold, suffocating silence that sits right between a husband and a wife sitting on the exact same couch. You are physically in the same house, sharing the same space, yet you feel thousands of miles apart. In many relationships across America, a silent epidemic is quietly destroying homes. The painful reality of being ignored by the person who once promised to cherish you forever. It doesn't always start with a massive, explosive argument. It usually begins with tiny, unnoticed moments. A text message left unreplied, a look that is never returned, a heavy sigh that is completely shrugged off, or a meaningful conversation that gets cut short because someone is too busy staring down at their smartphone screen. When you feel ignored by your spouse, it triggers a deep, psychological wound. Your own mind begins to play cruel tricks on you. You start asking yourself heartbreaking questions. Am I no longer attractive? Did I do something wrong? Do they still love me, or am I just a ghost in my own home? This emotional neglect, known by experts as stonewalling or cold shoulders, is often far more damaging to a marriage than a loud fight. Loud fights mean there is still some form of passion or energy left in the relationship. But being cold and ignoring each other? That is a sign of emotional detachment. If you are watching this video today feeling entirely invisible to your partner, I want you to take a deep breath. Your pain is completely valid, and your desire for connection is a fundamental human need. Today, we are going to dive into why this dangerous silent gap happens in marriages and look at the realistic steps you can take to break the ice before the emotional distance becomes permanent. To fix a broken bridge, we must first understand why the pillars began to crack in the first place. When a spouse starts ignoring you, it is incredibly easy to immediately assume the worst. We assume they don't care anymore, or that they are being intentionally malicious. But neurobiology and behavioral science tell us a different story. In the high-stress, fast-paced culture of modern society, the human brain has a limited amount of emotional energy. Often, when a husband or a wife is completely overwhelmed by work pressure, financial anxiety, or deep personal burnout, their natural psychological defense mechanism is to shut down. They retreat into their own minds, pulling away from everything and everyone around them, including the person they love the most. Their silence isn't always an act of aggression against you. Sometimes, it is a cry for survival from their own internal battles. However, another common reason for this cold distance is an accumulation of unresolved resentment. In a marriage, small hurts build up over time like layers of dust. An apology that was never truly meant, an invalidation of feelings during a past disagreement, or repeated instances of not feeling heard can cause a person to build a protective emotional wall around their heart. They stop communicating because their brain tells them, "What is the point of speaking if my words are only going to lead to another draining fight?" So, they choose the safety of silence over the vulnerability of connection. They choose to ignore because they feel deeply misunderstood. Recognizing whether your spouse is shutting down due to external stress or internal relationship resentment is the crucial turning point. You cannot heal the wound if you don't understand what caused the cut. Breaking a long-standing cycle of marital silence requires profound courage and a total surrender of your ego. The easiest thing to do when your spouse ignores you is to ignore them back, to play the toxic game of who can stay quiet the longest. But this passive-aggressive retaliation only serves to widen the canyon between your hearts. Someone has to be brave enough to hold out a hand first. When you decide to approach your spouse, you must change your strategy. Do not start the conversation with accusations or aggressive blame sentences like, "You always ignore me," or, "You care more about your phone than your family." Accusations instantly force the other person to pull their defensive walls up higher. Instead, shift your language to vulnerability. Use I statements to express your raw feelings. Say something like, "I've been feeling really disconnected from you lately, and it makes me feel lonely. I miss my best friend. Are you okay, and can we find a few minutes to talk tonight?" Frame the issue not as you versus me, but as us versus the distance. Create a strict digital-free zone in your house. even if it's just 30 minutes during dinner where all smartphones are kept in another room. Look into each other's eyes. If the emotional weight and resentment are too thick to handle entirely on your own, please do not hesitate to reach out to a professional marriage counselor or therapist. Seeking external guidance is a badge of profound strength and a declaration that your marriage is absolutely worth fighting for. Thank you for watching Daily Elevate. If this message brought a spark of hope or clarity to your relationship journey, please subscribe and share it. Protect your marriage, prioritize your peace, and keep elevating.